kind of the crazy sales absorption just from June, and the data year to date has been pretty crazy to watch. But I kind of want to jump right into it, knowing that we'll probably have people trickling in for the first 10, 15 minutes. But thanks for jumping on, guys. We have Mitch Dansie with Desert Color that's going to join us talking about the plan development out there, and what that's going to mean for St. George, and kind of the perspective on master plan communities, and why that's really going to be something for us that we can look forward to down the road as being, I think, part of normal city developments. But if you kind of want to jump in, Mitch, and just introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are if they don't know, and kind of give us what's going on over at Desert Color.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate everyone taking some time to hear a little bit about Desert Color, and thank you, Robert, for lining it up. I love this, the idea of bringing together different members of our St. George and Washington County community, and talking about issues and how we all get on the same page and we can support each other, because being a smaller community, I just think it's so important that we all understand what's going on and arm ourselves with good information and support each other. So
if you can, man, we love to see your face. It's so much better to have a face on here than to have a bunch of black boxes. So we can see your face, man. We love.
How's that? It's probably
cool
not very.
I love that you're out camping right now. It's awesome.
No, well, no problem. I appreciate you guys working with the situation we're dealing with, but no, it's really great. So quick overview of Desert Color for those who aren't familiar. I think if you haven't heard of it, we're right off exit 2 on I-15 and Southern Parkway. So we're just to the on the east side there of where Sun Rivers is. And oh, there you go, perfect. So we're about a 3,600 acre master planned community. There's a lot of ideas of master plan communities, what they are. We feel like we're kind of the first real true master plan community. And in Washington County, we're going to have everything from, healthcare, institutional, commercial, residential, the whole bit, and that sort of thing. So we're really excited. We have currently out at Desert Color, we have 11 builders that are lined up with us, some local builders and some builders from northern Utah, and working to bring in some additional builders as well. As we look through master plan communities, as Desert Color came to be, the idea was, what do people want in a master plan community? We were able to be a part of a really great webinar with some of the big national master plan community developers in that. And it's pretty interesting to see. A couple of stats for you are, 5% of new home buyers are willing to pay, 56% are willing to pay more than 5% just to be in a master plan community. So what we're seeing is master plan communities are kind of the way that people are moving towards. 5 of the top 8 states in the country where master communities are becoming bigger are all in the Western US, with Utah right now coming in at number 8. And so you're seeing this master plan community idea really start to evolve out here out west. People love the idea of segmentation. They like to see different products and a diversity of products out there, so it's not one size fits all. It's kind of the old cradle to grave approach. And so we've really kind of latched onto that. We're trying to capture all the different pieces of a master plan community, specifically amenities. We've seen the value as we've watched other master plan communities. What made them successful was bringing in amenities early so that people see the commitment from a developer standpoint, and then be able to phase those in over time. So we're excited about the amenity package that we're bringing in at Desert Color. We have a 10,000 square foot clubhouse with a beautiful pool and kind of dual upper deck sunbathing and that sort of thing. We have some restaurants that are coming in with that clubhouse. That will be finished in roughly the October timeframe. We'll do an event out there. And then the other big amenity that we're bringing on is our lagoon. So it's a lot of people have, is it a pool? Is it a lake? Is it a pond? It's actually, a lined, it's going to look and feel like a swimming pool. It's about a 4 million gallon, just over 2.5 acre swimming pool that will have a variety of different programming around it: sand, grass, concrete, and people will be able to come out and experience and live, on beachfront property really close to Arizona. So we're really excited about the amenities that we're bringing on. The other thing that people are really asking for right now are trails and healthy living. People want activity, they want to get outside. And as a result of that, they don't mind having a smaller yard. They're okay having smaller personal space, but leveraging more of the natural amenities that we have in Washington County. And so at Desert Color, we're trying to integrate that in as best as we can.
Is that information you get specifically for Washington County, or are you looking at, because I know when we talked about some of the topics is what is it about St. George that makes a master plan community so perfect? Is this kind of like information you're learning across the nation, and why Clyde Companies has said, hey, I think this is a valuable asset specifically for St. George, or is this kind of a trend nationwide?
It's a trend nationwide, but it fits. If you look at what the trend nationwide is, people are really moving away from, and I'm a big golfer, so I love golf, and it hurts me to hear this, but they're moving away from the old golf course, country club idea, and they want to get into an active and very much outdoor living type master plan community, to the point where you see trails, parks, pools. Those are the #1 requested amenities nationwide. Now, it's like, Robert, if we've always heard like a master plan community is live, work, and play in the same place, but that's evolving. And what we're seeing now is kind of the next evolution is, live healthy, work from home, and play outside. And so you're taking that initial, master plan community that we've seen in California and Arizona that evolved in the 50s and 60s of live, work, play, and you're kind of seeing that just evolve. And St. George is a perfect fit. The other thing you're seeing is it's just on the radar, right? With all the growth that's happened in St. George, the national parks, the number of visitors that we have, you're seeing a lot of people from out of state specifically. We still see a ton from northern Utah. It's where a lot of our interest is, but we're seeing more from out of state. And the recent kind of pandemic situation that we found ourselves in is adding to that. We're seeing a lot of people from the western areas looking to do more of those outdoor activities.
What's really captured my interest with Desert Color is that it seems like it's a new idea, but it's not, in the sense that it's a similar idea of like the country club type living and these master plan suburbia living, only it just has a kind of a new twist. Am I seeing that right? I don't have enough experience to know. I don't know if this is a new idea or if this is something that's really kind of started its trend across the country, and now we're gaining some momentum. Is this going to be common? Do you think this is going to be a common type theme that goes across the country, or is this something that just a certain percentage of cities are going to have some of these in it, and that's just the way it is?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit market driven, Robert, but what you love about St. George is we're able to take and evolve that idea to meet an amenity package that's pretty unique, specifically to Utah, with all the sunshine and the great climate and that we have. That's why you can do a lagoon and have it be open year round. People can kayak, paddleboard, enjoy that all year round. And, there's a lot of places that you can't do that. And so, yes, it's kind of that resort feel. It's almost like being a part of highly amenitized items. It's just the amenities are changing. And so I think you're seeing that not only nationwide, but specifically, you're going to continue to see that evolve as communities try and create, in their mind, competitive advantage and differentiation between other type of communities. It will really be the amenity structure and the different offering that you bring.
I'm super excited to see the population growth in St. George, probably opposed to most people that already live here, because it's a catch-22. All of us that are in the housing industry know that we need to grow to keep all of us in business. And at the same time, nobody wants to see the roads packed and the stores packed and not be able to go to the lake and get a spot at Sand Hollow because it's closed by 9 a.m. Those are a lot of like it's like this catch-22. All of us want to see growth as part of our development, but without communities and things like this, it's not going to spread out some of the features and things that we have to do in Washington County. And this is kind of an opportunity where we can grow, but also spread the population out kind of evenly, and not have everything centered into one location. Do you see this area, just the greater area? Because I know the project as a whole is a lot larger than just this shot that I'm showing here. Do you see that as really being more of a center of St. George moving forward, 10, 15 years?
Yeah, I think so. We have really great neighbors out on the South Block. Really, in a couple developments that really forged through and established the area, and we think that we're just going to come and be able to help be a part of that group. We love that area. It allows for growth. The traffic situation with Southern Parkway and I-15 is certainly helpful. One thing that helps with having a big master plan community is a lot of our partners, when you look at the Conservancy District and all of our strategic partners, we're able to kind of work together, and they know that Desert Color, for example, is going to be, it could be up to 10,000 houses, right? So they're able to grow with us, and that helps from a sustainability standpoint. That it's not death by 1,000 pinpricks. They're able to kind of grow and prepare their infrastructure as we grow as well.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated too with watching what's going on with the economy, and knowing this is like a 10, 15 year project. How these little bumps along the way, I think you get a lot of anxiety from the regular consumer as to saying, should I buy in here, to seeing what's going on in the market. What do you know of master plan communities, and how over the course of time and that trajectory of time, do they stay pretty stable compared to, a local developer? You think of, back in 05, there's a lot of smaller local developers that are maybe building a couple hundred home subdivisions. I know, Brett, that's really been our bread and butter for Washington County's development, has kind of been small local builders growing, pieces at a time. Do these big developments really have a great track record of sustaining time and even changes in the economy?
So that's a good question. I would probably say it all evolves around your partners, who's backing it, and what your deal structure is. If you look at Summerlin down in Vegas, right? Summerlin's been around for about roughly 25 years now, and they've been able to weather multiple different, market pockets of volatility. And part of that is because of the ability of the backers and the developer to go through that. And we feel like we're in the same spot at Desert Color. So, you get to adjust. And I'll continue to use Summerlin as an example, and maybe even Daybreak. If you look at those times of market volatility, they're able to kind of adjust on the fly and adapt their product and adapt their phasing to match that. And that's kind of one of the great things about a master plan community is, you can focus in different areas, having a full diversity and of segmentation and product. You can focus where the market has the demand.
Yeah, and it seems like there's a commitment when you have a big master plan community, and then a smaller group of big backers to say, hey, we're all committed to this. Now the individual builders that are building in the community, or the individual like businesses that might be, heavy quotes on committed to joining. I know you guys have kind of always, not you specifically, but I know the rumor mill always spreads as to who's coming in and who's not. And there's a lot of attempts to we don't want to commit to any of those things, namely because the whole point is that we can be adaptive to what's happening and not be fully committed to one thing or another. When it was pitched to St. George and the community as a whole, how much commitment is expected, right? I see 4 lagoons on this map, right? Are we saying that certain phases are really committed and then other phases are kind of broad based? Because I think as an agent, I want to be able to not oversell something, right? Because anytime you oversell something that doesn't show up, that never makes me look good as a real estate agent. But thinking through how far out can we plan as this is hey, this is a done deal, this isn't a done deal?
Yeah. I think we've all seen different projects that maybe fall into that. But, you know, all I can say is one reason that brought me to Desert Color that I really appreciated, because even if you look at it from a personal investment of time and moving my family to St. George, we wanted to make sure that it was a long-term project as well. The key is the partners in Desert Color are all local. Outside of the Merrill Group, which is a very, very small portion of the project. They're out of Atlanta, but they're very familiar with Utah and Arizona. But Blue Diamond Capital and Clyde Companies are both Utah-based companies. And when you look at that, this is a leg employees, families, and friends can come and participate in. And so that's a big deal to be able to, you know, that's a big deal for them to be able to be a part of something like this. So we're very committed, obviously, with the commitment we've made to SITLA, to our partners, to the city of St. George, and to Washington County. We're excited to be here for a long time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I want to open it up because that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. We talked a little bit about why St. George is so right for this kind of thing. And I think the outdoor living, the idea that you can live and work and play all here, the amenities that we're having. Instead of a golf course, we have big shots. You know, we have the water features. I'm excited about it. I think everybody else is pretty excited about it. And I also think that it's still one of those things that a lot of people are unsure, right? It's kind of hard to envision it. I know a lot of us have a hard time going out into that dirt and looking around and being like, what do you mean this is going to have all this stuff here? I don't see it yet. But I want to open it up to anybody that has any questions. It's normally a quiet group, so there might not be very many, but anybody have any questions for Mitch? And Ryan Coates is on here as well.
The good thing is I know a lot of people on here by name, so I can call them out as well if it gets real quiet. So, and everyone on here knows who they are, so I can fire some questions back at them. You're all on mute.
Everybody's on mute.
Sean Rustin here.
Hey, Sean.
Rumors been there is a big major nationwide builder that's bought some lots. Can you speak to that? Because I know there's some local ones. There's some ones coming from northern Utah, but I think I had heard it was I can't remember the name, but yeah, if you could speak to that, that'd be interesting.
So here's what I can tell you, and if it's okay, let me run down, especially probably for you who are familiar with St. George, let me just run down our builder set who we have committed, and then I can kind of talk through that. So from a residential, regular residential homes, we have Homes, who's from northern Utah, Visionary, who's from northern Utah as well. Visionary Homes will be coming in and getting some product out of the ground in the next 30 days. Carefree Homes. But then we have Sullivan Homes, Sean Sullivan's group, who we really excited about and are having a lot of success out there. AJ Construction, also a local builder who's heavily involved and will be long-term partners with us. Down in our resort, so kind of by the lagoons, you have C. Blake, so Carrie's building out there. You have Cole West doing some really great products out there. And then we're bringing Cedar Point Homes, who also builds in Washington County, and I'm missing one, Element Homes, who is a group out of Park City. So we have a really good mix, we feel like. A master plan community the size of St. George is going to be on the national builders radar. And so as we continue to kind of fill out our builders, master plan communities are typically done where everyone has a bit of a swim lane that we want them to stay in and a product segmentation we want them to cover. And so if there's a product segmentation that a national builder can come in and be a part of, we're absolutely open to that, especially given the longevity of the project. They like that we can deliver a large amount of lots for a long time with them in one community. So I think more to come in that space. Probably one thing I would say though is when you look at 2,500 permits being pulled in Washington County on an annual basis, it's just a small carrot for a national builder. It's right on the cusp of, are they big enough? Are they not? They're going to work through that. And so I think as you see the growth evolve over the next 10 years, and if St. George continues its trajectory, you'll see more and more national builders kind of this being on their radar.
If you have been on our call before, we had Neil Walter on, and he was talking a few sessions back about how, we pull about 2,500 homes permits a year, but really, I don't know if I froze up or if Mitch froze up, but we need 2,700 home starts a year to keep up pace with the population growth. And if you've been kind of paying attention to some national articles about basically huge populations are moving out of the cities into rural America, there's a huge wave of people leaving the larger towns and the larger metropolitan areas to come to kind of the lower mid-range city sizes. And it'll be interesting to watch this development, and knowing that those national builders are probably paying attention to that as well, as even though for the past we've only pulled about 2,500 permits per year, in the future that's probably going to crop up, and it'll be interesting to see how we develop. I think we lost Mitch, but I know Ryan's there to pick up if anybody has questions. Oh, there he is.
I think I'm back on. Sorry.
You're back on. That's okay, man.
I've got a question. This is McCray Hepler, Mitch.
Hey,
I haven't met you in person yet, but I know I've bugged you enough, so I appreciate your help. The one question that I get asked a lot is the commercial side of Desert Color. And I know the dynamic is tough because obviously a lot of the big box and different big commercial want to see the density around it, but then at the same time, I know there's obviously a lot of, that's 10,000 homes of what it will attract as well. But is there a time frame on when to expect actual commercial out there? Is it anytime soon? Is it way down the road? Because that's definitely one question that I get asked a lot, is there's homes going up out there, and it's crazy. I mean, if you guys haven't been out there yet, I mean, it's crazy how much is already going on. But as far as commercial, is there anything you can tell us regarding that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we look at the commercial, we're not only selling Desert Color, we're selling the South Block. There's a lot of groups out there that will benefit from the commercial. Sun River, the Bloomington area, Desert Canyons. There's a lot of groups out there, right, that will all be able to benefit from the commercial. And so we look at it that way. You will see some stuff breaking ground this year. Again, the Big Shots Golf will be breaking ground this year to get out of the ground. With that will come some of your initial commercial startups, right? Hopefully we can get some gas station out there and some early on restaurants, financial institutions, those sort of things. But some of that will come a little bit with time. But I think, if you look at it collectively as a 3-year plan, you'll start to see pretty significant infrastructure and commercial footprints out there in the next 2 to 3 years. Obviously, we're trying to, deal with what does commercial look like right now. Just to give you a quick kind of idea of how we're adjusting on the fly. With COVID, restaurants all want drive-throughs. And so we've actually been able to work with our partners and adapt so that every restaurant out there, whether it's your typical sit down, whether it's a fast food, whatever it is, it'll have some sort of a drive-through facility that is really enticing to tenants who, as we've seen over the last couple of 6 months, if this becomes the new norm, they're the ones that are really doing well, right? You have Five Guys shutting down all over the country, and yet in St. George, they're killing it because they have a drive-through. And so we're adapting our commercial space to kind of this new environment, and that's really attractive to the potential tenants that are looking at it.
Cool. That was actually my next question. So,
okay,
because I know commercial is obviously changing and has changed and will continue to change going forward, especially now post-COVID. So that's what's really cool about what you guys have going, is it's such a brand new thing that you can adapt, and so that's cool. Awesome.
I got a question from Julie Jordan. This is actually a great question. With smaller lot sizes, home gardens might be difficult to implement. Has any organic community garden or farmer's market been discussed as part of the community?
Yeah, absolutely it has. In fact, we have an area that is kind of pegged for that sort of an amenity right down as you get towards the River Road exit on the south side of Southern Parkway. Because it doesn't lend itself to great development. And so we would love, we've even looked at the restaurants coming in and doing some farm to table type restaurants where they can come out, lease space, grow product out there and do that sort of kind of an organic feel as well. But absolutely, we love the idea of community is everything here, and connecting. And whether you're connecting at the lagoon or going down and connecting at a community garden, it's all beneficial and added to the community.
Are you looking for somebody to take a lead on something like that? Because I can understand as a big project manager, right? It's like, well, Desert Color can't take charge of every single aspect of some of these things. Are you open to having somebody say, hey, I'd like to take the lead on developing something like that out? I think it's a great idea, and it would necessarily need somebody to take the role and saying, hey, I'm going to kind of organize it and turn it into a thing. Is that normally how that would go, or how would that progress?
Yeah, I think it's something that we currently have on our radar. And if anyone's interested or has experience in that and want to share some ideas with us, reach out to Ryan or myself, and we'll be happy to talk through it.
Cool. I got another question, Ryan Shaw. Does Desert Color have a high density housing versus single family home ratio that will be kept up with, or is each builder able to build at whatever speed they would like?
We have a ratio, that we've committed to with the city, and as part of our development agreement and master planning, we have a ratio that you'll see between, and it depends on different zoning, right? You have different zoning in the project, but we do have ratios where you will see a lot of the single family product. It's not going to become just a full attached product. That's what a lot of people have seen, because that's what's out of the ground out there. A lot of our single family builders are now coming online. You're going to see more of that product out there.
Yeah, and I know Carefree has talked about their portion of the development. They have a strict setup to being like, hey, this front facing curb appeal, it has to be in a certain rate, right? They don't want to have the same thing over and over. They're really trying to keep it away from having any kind of cookie cutter type setup. So I can imagine this would make sense. 2 stories along with single stories. They want to have a whole mix of things and not have it feel like you're driving through like a suburbia, like repeat type of feel to it.
Yep. Yeah, we have pretty strict design guidelines out there that we think will, again, if you're going to be driving through attached product, townhomes, starter homes, getting up to an AJ construction view lot, you want to make sure that as you make that drive, you still feel the sense of community, but every product is being held what we feel like is to a high architectural and design standard.
Cool. That's awesome. I know it's 9:30, man, and I appreciate you're on vacation.
Sorry, I hope I didn't speak too much. So
no, you're good, man. So I'm gonna just put this last statement here from Renita to the group, and then Mitch, I'd love to have you on again in a couple of months as things develop more, but I want you to get your vacation, keep going. The long version, Desert Color is really poised to become the new St. George, and downtown St. George will become Old Town with some of the best dining, entertainment, shopping, recreation, and overall lifestyle. Shannon Walker asked about how many homes will be built out this year and how many next.
Yeah, so I mean, our absorption, obviously June was really great, and we all hit our brakes during COVID, and we did as well. But I think most people on here probably get a feeling that we are really blessed to live in an area where we're seeing strong recovery in hospitality and some of those areas that are impacting us. I think you'll see probably around, we're on pace for around 150 or so homes to close this year. And then you'll probably see us, we would love to get up into the 200 to 300 here as we bring on an active adult community and be able to pick up other areas out there. Real quick, I just want to say, look, I'm new here, and I know some of you have been here for so long. I've been in St. George now for about a year with my family. I've been on this project for just about, 16 months or so. But I just want to say, like, the people on this call and some of our neighbors out there, I really am so proud to be a part of a really great and strong group, whether it's within SUBA, the realtor group out there. We just want to be a part of this. And there's people that have laid really amazing groundwork in Washington County. And I just want to reiterate, we're not trying to take away from that. We want to be a part of that. We want to work together to develop something that is everyone will be proud of, and collectively as a community we'll get to benefit from. Desert Color is not meant to be so exclusive in what it's doing that it's our way or the highway, and that's not our intention. And so, you know, I look around. Brett's been really great to work with. We appreciate his group, all that they're doing, and so we want to be a part of the community. So as people have questions, look, we're here, we're local, we're establishing our team in St. George. This is not a project being driven out of Salt Lake or anywhere else. So reach out to us. Let us know how we can help, you know, be a solution to problems that we're all kind of working through. Just want to make sure that's really loud and clear as well.
Awesome. Thanks for doing that, man. And get back to your vacation. I appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we'll have you there again.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate the time, and feel free to reach out. Robert, thanks for setting it up. Really cool.
Man, for sure.
We're glad to be a part of it.
Cool, man. Take care. Guys, I have some market statistics that we can also talk about. I want to kind of leave it open. If anybody from the lending, I think Sean Russing was on here. Anybody that wants to talk lending and what's going on, give us a quick lending update. I know like applications are through the roof nationwide in some areas and just crashing in other areas. So I'd like to hear what your guys' takes are on mortgage applications. Did we lose Sean? There's Shannon.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey. I work on both commercial stuff and then just some construction loans here and there, and construction loans continue to be through the roof. When COVID first hit, I was worried, oh, things are going to drop, things are going to slow down. You know, builders are pumping the brakes, like Mitch was saying, and I was thinking, uh-oh, we're in for it. But that lasted a month or two, and then it did a 180. People have said time and time again, California, Nevada, people moving to a place like St. George, it's really fueling people moving here. Construction apps have been insanely high. And COVID on the commercial side has done some interesting things because some businesses are really struggling and some are really thriving. And so you've got it all over the board on the commercial side, but residential side, at least for me on just the construction, and that's the only side I'm looking at, it's been very, very active.
That's awesome. I think that's true across the board too. Inventory has been incredibly low. I pulled the June data. I'll pull this just from the MLS. I think Bardell shared it in the WCBR. You guys can see the Flex market stats here, right? Yeah. One thing I thought was really interesting is year to date is we're down 5% in new listings in inventory. And our sold listings were only up 1% year to date. I know we hit a little break during March, like late March and April. And this listing inventory being so low, it's been really interesting to watch how that's kind of stifling the ability for us to keep product moving, and building has really been the only bottleneck that I can see. Is that if it's hard to get them out of the ground, to get them sold fast enough. I know Lori Burgess had talked about how she had a bunch of lots go live and all under contract in almost a week. And I think Sean Sullivan sold out of most of his lots out in Desert Color. I think he only had 2 left, even before his model home was built, from what I understand, which is pretty incredible. That's not normally how things roll down, from what I understand. Is anybody else seeing that having inventory and having listings come on the market is a little difficult? I thought this was interesting. Our sales absorption as a percentage of the market, we were at almost 37% of the homes that were on the market in June went under contract, which is insanely high compared to anything over the last 2 years. So going all the way back to June 2018, that's pretty incredible that 37% of all of the homes that were listed on the market in June went under contract at the time. So we'll see moving forward, you'll see that under contract turns into sold listings again in July as well. So it'll be interesting to watch that. But this is kind of a crazy trend. This is really going to push prices up at a pretty incredible rate. Almost, depending on what your perspective is, almost too fast. I don't know if anybody else agrees. Prices are really going to start to accelerate. I don't think we have any appraisers on here, but that's going to be the one thing that'll hold things back, is appraisals and and seeing homes devalued. The median sales price of for sales up 9% year over year, where our sales prices are only up 6.7%, and that's in residential sales, so that's not including land. So watching those housing prices go up will be interesting, and with interest rates down, it's a good time to kind of be both a buyer and a seller. Does anybody want to talk to the statistics and what they're seeing? Nice. Do we have go ahead, Shannon.
I said, Vardell, I'm calling you out. Where are you?
I know he's there. I see him.
So clearly the warning bell should be, we really don't want to become Summit County. We don't want to be Park City where the people that work here can't afford to live here.
That's my thoughts exactly.
Inventory is the key. We're headed in the wrong direction in terms of inventory that's available, especially, you know, the new buzzword that St. George City's kind of cultivated is attainable housing. It's not even affordable. It's really not even part of their lexicon anymore. It's attainable. And the way home prices are appreciating, we're headed down a dangerous path, I think, right now. And as we can develop inventory in lower price points, you guys all know better than I do. Even you have a home that's $300,000 or less, it's multiple offers and gone within days. So, you know, with interest rates being what they are, that has been the saving grace, I think, in terms of our real estate market. And I don't know how long, you know, a year, maybe two, or what the experts are saying, that we might be able to enjoy those interest rates. But who knows that? I mean, that could change tomorrow, right? Depending on the world economy. So I'm just hopeful. And by the way, for those of you that don't know, I have the opportunity to serve on the St. George Planning Commission. And I will tell you that when Brett Burgess brings a plan in, or when Desert Color or any of these other developers come in, these guys are incredible in terms of the amount of due diligence and planning and preparation. We're super fortunate to have that kind of development. And I think they'll see the opportunity here in that affordable, attainable housing to the extent that they can. And we're going to be okay. You know, I was looking at the same stats that you were looking at, and we've been averaging over 400 transactions a month. That's in a COVID-19 environment. That's not bad.
Yeah.
In fact, that's actually very robust. And when I compare that to even our other associations in the state of Utah, Washington County is solid. So thanks to all of you for the hard work that you do.
Yeah. Do you feel like, being on the planning commission, do we have enough conversations around, I mean, from everywhere I hear, it's the building process just takes a while, and it's not only just because of the construction. I've heard subcontractors, us not having enough subcontractors to build the product, to conversations around getting permits through the different cities. It can be a challenge. Finding land that matches the value to make the investment worthwhile for the developer and the builder. I mean, there's a lot of little facets here. Is the city having conversations around how they can help that and help those things? And one thing I was going to ask Mitch, and I don't know if Ryan's still on here, but if they've addressed kind of the subcontractor issue, or if that's an issue. Maybe that's something I've made up, or if I've heard by somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about, which is probably true.
You know, the subcontractor issue started about 2008 when everybody moved to North Dakota and got into the mining business because it was more profitable. And a lot of them never came back. And so, yeah, I got to think that Brett and Ryan and Lori could all talk to finding quality tradesmen is a challenge, which delays the construction period. But I will say this, and I can only speak to St. George City. COVID-19 has had a little bit of actually a positive impact in that a lot of the stuff is submitted electronically now, which does in fact speed up the process. Right. So where we had bottlenecks before, I think they've been responsive in trying to help overcome. Now, is it perfect? No, not at all. But I do think that there have been some positives in the development side to be able to quicken that process.
Yeah, it seems like there's a big open hole that's like, hey, let's trade framers and tradesmen to be building these homes. Brett, let's get a school together, man, and start training these kids how to frame. And we've got to build everything in the winter too, when it's not 150 degrees outside too. That's the other thing. Do you guys want to talk about, is that an issue, finding subs? Yeah, that's an interesting one.
I don't want to cut Vardell off, but yeah, I'm bummed that I missed out on the last session. I was out of town, and I think I was telling you, Robert, I tried to link in and get on my phone, but I couldn't quite get connection. But no, I totally agree with what Commissioner Curtis says. It's a tough thing, and it did start years and years and years ago. And being part of SUBA, we've seen that. Luckily for us, a little bit, sometimes in the winter, we can get subs from northern Utah that come down because they are snowed in, so we can get some seasonal stuff. I know some builders that have crews up there and build kind of statewide, will pull from some of their crews and have them help down here in the winter time. But, with SUBA, we're working on that vocational high school with Washington County. We're trying to support them. Careers in construction, we showcased their the home. It wasn't officially a parade of home, but it was in our magazine. It was a stop. It got a lot of visitors. They actually have it's been so successful, they've had another teacher, which is a general contractor, come in and help teach these kids to get trade work. It's so imperative that we tell these kids that they can have a great career without a lot of student debt if they stay in construction in Washington County. You can get straight into a trade work. And so that's kind of how we're trying to help. And also, I have to have a shout out to Dixie Tech. Dixie Tech's trying to get homegrown subs, and they've got the plumbing programs, they've got the drafting and CAD programs, they've got the mechanical, the diesel. We've had a standing ad at our excavation company for probably 3 years for a lot of these trades, and it's just hard, but if we can kind of cultivate that homegrown kind of workforce, that's kind of what we're shooting for, and I think it'll be successful.
Well, and then knowing that we're all in the industry, right? We're all reliant on the fact that this is something that our county is going to be reliant upon over the next, couple of decades, where Orange County, California, there's no land to build on, right? When we talk about like construction being a part of their economy, it's like road construction, it's not building. And so we're different from them in the sense that, there's people moving here from there that have no idea that that's a career that they could even go into. It's not even a focus of those local communities. So us being the local industry, the housing industry, communicating that to the people that are moving into town and encouraging that out of our spheres of influence to help support that part of the industry. It's just as important to do that as it is to help buyers and sellers, depending on where you're at, obviously in the real estate world and where you're really fitting in with the industries. That could be a good place for us to add some interest into it. Julie, Jordan, not to pivot away from this, does anybody want to talk any more about kind of that development side, any of those issues? Vardell, I did cut you off. I feel bad.
No, I saw in the chat box, one of the questions had to do with water.
Yeah.
And, Lake Powell Pipeline, they are in the Bureau of Reclamation public input period right now. And that has become such a controversial, mostly over the price and how's it going to be paid for. But I can tell you right now, without that water source, I think we're in trouble. Long term, we need that to happen. And so I would just encourage opportunities for people when they're made available to go get educated, because there is a lot of misinformation out there on that particular subject. And the only way we're really ever going to know is if we make the effort to go learn more about it. So
where's the best place for us to learn more about it?
Well, I think probably the first place to start looking at is the Water Conservancy District's website. They have they have more stuff there than you'll ever need to know. but at least you can go learn a little bit more about what's transpired up to this point and what the future might look like. We're still probably 7 years away from seeing water come out the end of a pipe, but it's been 15 years or more that it's been in the process.
Yeah. Ryan, do you want to comment on where the lagoon water's coming from? I know I've heard this pitch a couple of times, but just so everybody kind of understands.
No,
It's not a pitch. Sorry, that was bad usage of language. I'm not saying you're pitching us anything, but just kind of where the water's coming from.
You're good, absolutely. And I appreciate that question, Julie.
We can't, it's a little quiet, man.
All right, I apologize. I'll try to speak up. I appreciate that question. So one of the things on the water story for Desert Color is, yes, the lagoons, we have a aquifer that's under that development. And so we have a well that goes a couple hundred feet down. We have our own water shares. It's brackish water that's not potable. So we are pulling it up and treating it to make our lagoon a saltwater feature. So it's a great question. Water is a big deal here in the desert. And so we want to be wise stewards with what we have. And so we do have water shares on an aquifer that's right below the development. We're able to pump it up, treat it, and then put it into that lagoon. The second thing I will say on that is Desert Color is actually the first development in the state of Utah to receive a local scapes endorsement. Just going to the fact that the design of our community on the landscaping front, we have a secondary water system that's going to do all that landscaping. And so we have received that designation as a local scape endorsed development-wide community. So definitely a great question, and we want to make sure that the story is out, that we're not just connecting to the spigots and taking the good water out of St. George, but that we do have an alternate route for the water that we're getting to use for our amenity. Yeah.
From what I understand too, those lagoons actually use less water than just a regular golf course. Is that right? Even with all the lagoons spread out?
It is, and that's mind-boggling, right? I mean, but that is the facts. When we researched it out, and again, we looked at all the different type of amenities. That was one of the main facts that stood out in our mind was, being able to utilize less water than a feature like a golf course, as well as a differentiation was a huge factor for the lagoon.
Yeah.
And in some way it regenerates too, right?
Yeah.
I've heard, so it really is a very efficient lagoon.
For sure. Yep, for sure. Very sustainable in that regard. And if I could just double back, I know, affordable or attainable housing kind of came up. That is one thing that we see. I mean, obviously in Desert Color, that's a product that we are actively trying to push out and develop lots for that. And so you'll see with builders like Visionary that's coming online at end of summer, into fall, that they're going to be in that attainable housing space. And we'll look at other products as well and bring in other products that will really help in that regard. Because, the St. George City has been a great partner, and that's one of the main things that they've made sure that we understand in developing, Desert Colors, that we do offer those attainable housing for the market and for the area. And so it's definitely an active role that we're trying to take in producing some of that product that kind of helps along those lines.
Now, sometimes it's hard too, just because the cost to build is the cost to build. And so keeping it down as low as you can make it, sometimes it's difficult to do that. And I understand that. So there's a fine line to draw from that. Well, guys, it's 9:51. That's really kind of what I wanted to cover today. Thanks to Ryan and Mitch for coming on and talking Desert Color. And hey, we had some a participative group. I don't know if that's a word, but you guys all participated pretty well, and I appreciate it. Thanks for your input, Vardell. If you guys have any other questions, again, in 2 weeks, we'll have another one. I'm hoping to have a few more people on that really can give some more added information on the housing, what's going on. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. Somebody you want to hear from, I'll do everything I can to get them on and hear from them. If anybody knows Lieutenant Governor Cox, I would love to have him on, hear his perspective on Southern Utah. Why not? Anything else, guys? All right. Have a good rest of your day. Take care. Have a good weekend. Hey, stay cool. It's going to be super hot. So stay inside. Keep the kids inside for sure.
Thank you, Robert.
Thanks, Robert.
See you guys.